Good evening and welcome to week 45 and 46 of the Business Coaching Clinic. Now, tonight's going to be a little bit different because I've done a bit of content for you, and I'm going to play you that video in a moment because we're going to talk about the 4 stages of a customer's buying process, or the marketing pyramid, or you may have heard me call it that before. So we're going to cover that tonight, and I'm going to cover with that why you're never going to need a paid ad agency in your life, as long as you're an Academy member and you do things properly. So if you're an Academy member and you've got any questions, queries, whatever, use your WhatsApp group. As always, if you're new to the Academy and you want to get in touch with us, use the link below in the description box and we will speak to you there. Okay? But I'm not going to dwell on it too much because I don't want to repeat what's already in the next piece of content, which is just under an hour long. So I'm going to switch straight over to that. I'm going to get into that, and really, even wherever you are as an academy member or not, this lesson is really important because it will be stuff you don't know. Yeah, this is not something anyone knows that's already in the academy. No matter how well you're doing or wherever you are in your journey, it doesn't matter. I guarantee that no one will know the stuff that I'm about to tell you. So it will be new lesson, new information, and new knowledge for you. Okay, right? So let's get into it. Right, so in this video, we're going to talk about why you'll never need paid ads and the 4 stages of a customer's buying process. Because in the previous videos that we've been through, when I've talked about paid ads, once your website's live, you'll get all sorts of people coming at you, offering you this, telling you that, blinding you with, oh, I'll get you loads of leads. That's not the right thing to do. And that's why getting an ad agency involved right now is definitely the wrong move for where you are in your business, okay? And why I'm going to go into why these marketers will try to convince you otherwise, right? They're very clever, but their ads will always overpromise and underdeliver, okay? The strategy that these marketers use is very simple. They prey on the desire for you to improve your situation. They know very well that there's lots of people out there, especially tradespeople, that think that if they get them loads of leads, that everything will be okay, right? And this is just a massive lack of experience. So it's a lack of experience from the tradesperson's perspective or the installation business's perspective. Now, from the marketer's point of view, it's either that they're just as uneducated or they know exactly what they're doing. It's probably a mixture of the two, yeah? Some don't have a clue, some know exactly what they're doing, okay? And for most of them, they'll just take your money before you realize that it's not working and then move on to the next person. It's shady, but it is very, very common. Now, I have watched advanced Academy members do this and destroy their businesses because they were warned about this and they just didn't listen. And, I want to do this content so you will not do the same, basically. But to be fair to some of these people, so there's two different groups of people here. So some of these people did actually build decent academy businesses, but then they got cocky, they got overconfident, but they were still underskilled. And then they thought that because now that they've got money, that they now know better, and that it was time to let someone else do the hard work for them. But this is a fatal error. It really is a fatal error. Then there are those that haven't had success yet, but think that they can bypass the basics by bringing in a Facebook ads wizard, which they're not anyway. But again, it always ends in tears, because in both scenarios, the person reaches a point, whether earlier or later, where they think they know better, they think that they can give the responsibility to somebody else for their business. Now, you can't afford to sit in any of those 2 categories that I've just mentioned, which I'll label as the cocky smartasses and the lazy fuckers, because it's one or the other. Both get humbled and both will fail. So let me reiterate something really crucial. And never forget this, because even as big as my businesses are now, the responsibility for getting new customers 100% sits with you. like it still does with me. Yeah, I do not outsource this to other people. I have done, and I've been bitten, and I'll come on to that. But it's not about luck, algorithms, or even magic adverts. It's about putting the right things in the right place so you can harvest what is already out there. And this is where mindset matters, because the real issue is not those marketers and those ad agencies that I've just mentioned. The real issue is the mindset of somebody who thinks that bringing in an ad agency is the solution. Now, outsourcing your marketing before you understand how to market it yourself is a death trap. Now, sometimes because we don't know how to market it, we go, oh, well, because I don't know, I'll get someone in who does know. This is where the problem there's many parts of where the problem starts, but this is definitely one of them. They don't understand your business, and you're effectively handing over the steering wheel of your business to somebody who neither understands your brand or cares about your customers the way that you do. And I can tell you from experience, I did it very early on, and I've even done it in recent years. I even did it this year, and that's embarrassing. It's not embarrassing because I took a person on who I thought was going to be really good at marketing, and I paid a lot of money for them, and they worked for a business that you would have heard of, and a big one. But again, there was bits of me in there that thought, right, we're now at a point where I can bring this person in and do that, and I was wrong again, and I've done it earlier on. Like when we first started KBB Supply Services, we brought an agency in then to try and help us move it along because I was busy with my installation business. KBB Supply Services later to be, evolved into the academy as well. Very early on, I didn't really have the time to do the marketing. And yeah, there were some knowledge gaps for myself. I wasn't doing cameras and stuff like that at the time. So I was a bit like, I'll bring someone in who knows all this stuff. And I can tell you, it's just a disaster. You just got to roll your sleeves up and do the work yourself. These people will never capture your brand, your standards, or your level of care that you put into your work. And until your business reaches true maturity, you must be the one that rolls up your sleeves, shows your face, and gets your brand out there. Look what I've had to do with KBB. The supply services ads that you've seen in the past and the academy ads and all the rest of it, all the KBB stuff. That was off the back of me going, fuck it, I was going to do it myself. Do you get what I mean? So this isn't, we're all susceptible to this draw of, someone else going to really help me with this and all the rest of it. And I'm telling you now, it's a big mistake. And, just do not even go there. You've got to be the one that owns your customer's entry point into your business. If you own it, it will be difficult at first and you've got to learn things. I'm not saying it's going to be dead easy all the time, but it's just a skill that it's not even a skill. It's just stuff that you do every week and month, which we're obviously going to teach you in the 12 steps. But yeah, anyway, let's move on because that's my experience. I'm telling you, again, I'm reiterating what we've said previously, but you've got to be the person to do it. That responsibility has always got to sit with you until further notice. But on the subject of ad agencies and how you get your leads and all the rest of it, bear in mind what I've just said. I had to jump in front of the camera, build KBB Supply Services, build the academy. It's been a lot of graft. You've seen the amount of videos that we've put into it. But this is where it gets interesting, right? And this is where we're going to move into the next part of this discussion, because the academy is now starting to mature. And something really strange and astonishing is starting to happen. So people that follow the sales process properly, implement the 12 steps properly, not perfectly, but good, and use KBB Academy Plus, the people that do those three things, and I know that underneath those three things, there are other things to do underneath those high level points, but the people that do all those three things pretty much unanimously are now getting all the leads that they need from the website and the assets that they built right here in the academy alone. And some of these businesses are doing over 40 installs a year, all organically. I mean, all the leads are coming organically into these academy businesses with zero paid ads. And in most cases, they're not even paying for leads, like My Builder, things like that. They're just not paying for anything else other than their academy subscription at Academy Plus level, this is, and putting in the effort. So basically, if they do those things, what we're seeing is that one, they never need ad agencies to start with, which I'm going to explain why, as this progresses. And they're not even doing some of the stuff that they were doing before, like paying for my builder back, all these leads. Some of them are paying hundreds and hundreds of pounds a month on those leads. So that in itself used to cost more than what the Academy subscription was, but that has now disappeared, and they're just left with the Academy subscription. Yes, they've got to put the work in, but financially, they're a lot better off. Which means that, well, it means a lot really. But this isn't happening by accident. It's not happening by magic. It's because everything in the Academy was engineered to work with how customers actually make decisions. I've said to you loads of times as well at events, there's a lot of psychology that goes into how the Academy has been built, which I've never properly explained in depth before. And that's a bit of what this content is about, is to sort of shine the light on, okay, so that's why things are done that way. Because it's all right doing the things, but if you don't understand why it's working, it's easy to forget, and it's easy to then not do it because you didn't know what impact that thing was having. So I'm hoping tonight we're going to get you thinking in the sense that I know now what this is and how it works. But for many members, the money that they used to spend on these other platforms is literally disappearing, which makes the Academy cost neutral or even profitable, i.e. it's a profit. It is anyway if you're making sales, but even against your marketing costs, it's just a no-brainer. But I want to put a little warning in here because I have mentioned Academy Plus, and this is not an advert for Academy Plus. Obviously, I want people to join it, but I want the right people to join it. But joining it does not replace your responsibility. Do not join KBB Academy Plus thinking that it transfers any of the work away from you. Your local visibility, your actions, and your commitment to the 12 steps are still non-negotiable. And the sales process and the things that we teach you, the Academy Plus is done in the background, away from you, sort of thing. All you really need to do in Academy Plus is give us the case study material, and we'll do the SEO, the blogs, and obviously you get your project management tools, which if you're moving on in your business journey, you definitely do need. But don't think that just, Aaron said that, if I join Academy Plus, everything will be great. That is not the takeaway. The takeaway is deploying your sales process properly and using your CRM, implementing the 12 steps, everything that's in there, doing your scorecard, your 90 minutes, all that type of stuff, and then having Academy Plus in there too. That is what I'm telling you to do. So you can't skip things like your online profiles, your local visibility, your social media, case studies, doing consistent posting, making sure that your van is signed, neighborhood cards, making sure you're getting reviews. Do you see what I mean? There's all these other things in here that you need to be doing, because there's no point having the other things done if they're not done. So don't expect to just join Academy Plus and explode. The people that are getting these big wins are doing all these early steps and not ignoring anything just because they're in Academy Plus. Okay, so I wanted to put a little warning in there about Academy Plus. Yes, I want everyone to join Academy Plus. I think it's ridiculously cheap for what it is, and the results really do speak for themselves. We've seen massive results from Academy Plus. The content we did at the event in November 25, where we talked about, the 500% increase in leads and surveys. It's just ridiculous. But the people that are getting those results are doing these other things. So if you want to be at the top tier, you want to be seen as the best and have the most money, then Academy Plus is 100% the right thing to do, but not at the expense of anything else. Okay, it's there to supplement and support. It's not there to replace anything. Okay, it will make life easier for you. It will give you more time to do other things, but you need to spend that time on those other things, not go, someone's doing it for me now. I am not wanting people in the mindset, okay? This is not one of those ad agencies that's promising you something that doesn't work. This does work, but you still have to do your bit, okay? So let's get into the 4 stages of the customer buying process. Now, every customer goes through these 4 stages, right? So you've got stage 1, which is not problem aware. Stage 2 is problem aware. Stage 3 is looking for a solution, and stage 4 is ready to buy. So most sole traders don't understand this, and certainly a lot of even bigger installation businesses don't understand this buying process. The marketing's scatty or non-existent, and most marketers don't even understand this. Never mind sort of, people that are on the tools are not supposed to know this stuff, but marketers and professional people who work in this space should know this stuff. But I feel like a lot of them still don't. But that's why you've struggled in the past. This is why you have never broke through. Yes, the academy is helping a lot of people do that, but the fundamental reason why before they joined the academy that they never were where they wanted to be is because they weren't aware of these 4 customer buying stages, or how to move people through these buying stages is more important. And this is where the paid ads really now, hopefully, obviously there's a lot more things to explain here, but paid ads generally only target customers at stage 4 that are ready to buy. So we've got not problem aware, looking for a solution and ready to buy. Now, simple people who don't understand this, and I mean simple thinkers in terms of like these marketers and people, this is what I'm saying, they either know what they're doing and they just know it's not going to work, and they'll just rinse your money off you and then say, oh yeah, well that didn't work, sorry, well, better luck next time, sort of thing, or we should have done this, or blame it on something else, or they're just daft and they don't understand it. So when you're only targeting people at stage 4, right, ready to buy, you're just going to get button clickers. You haven't built any relationship with these people. So even though you might put ads out there on Facebook, you get clicks, you get people asking for quotes. The reason why they don't convert and they don't turn into sales and anything like that is because, and you just take a minute to think here as well. If these people that are making these promises online were really delivering on them, right, they wouldn't be offering people to work for free and paid on results and all this shit. Do you know what I mean? Because you just wouldn't do that. Who would work for free at the end of the day? Oh, pay me when you get paid. It sounds good. It sounds good to you. They know that it doesn't really work. They know there'll be a time to this where, it's just false promises, just bullshit. And there's always a catch. There's always something you do actually have to pay for. It's just all a load of bollocks. But this is why they fail ultimately. And this won't make sense right away, right? But this is why they fail, is because they target people at stage 4. They target people that are ready to buy. Now you might be sat there going, well, surely that's the time to target people when they're ready to buy. Well, yeah, you would think so, but we want to take people through stage 2, 3, and 4, not just stage 4. Because if we don't have a psychologically built relationship with them, even though I'll explain all this in a bit, when the people that they're seeing at stage 4 when they're ready to buy, the ones that they'll buy from are the ones that took them through all the stages. Yeah. And if you just arrive at stage 4 with a Facebook ad or some shit thing, marketing, and you've not done all the other stuff around it, they're not going to buy from you. They might get a quote, but they're not going to buy from you because they're just not. They're not serious with you. They're serious with someone else, and they're using you as a pricing mechanism. They're going, they know who they want to buy from, and it ain't you. Yeah. But they want a quote from you to probably just bench test the market. Do you know what I mean? And you're just that guy that goes around and gives a price and they never hear from them again. This is why it happens, because we're not aware of, how many of you will sit there now and say, yeah, fucking hell, it's happened to me loads of times that, because, put quote prices in, the customers just blanked me, ignored me. And I know that happens anyway sometimes, but it happens a lot more when you're only sort of trying to get people at stage 4 just to buy now, do it quickly. It just doesn't work like that. So let's go through the stages and break them down. So stage 1, not problem aware. These people don't yet know that they want or need a job doing, right? But something happens in an instant that triggers the thought. So a leak or an insurance issue, something happens, right, in the house. A comment from a friend, oh, your kitchen looks a bit shit, or your bathroom, or whatever it is. Do you know what I mean? People say things that don't live in people's heads rent free, and they go, right, I want to change it now. They might go to someone's house who's got a nicer house than them, and they go, oh, that kitchen's nice, mine is a bit shit. And it just gets them reflecting. And then, so this is what kicks them in. Then we've got moving home. So people move home. They don't like the kitchen, or even if they do, they want to put their own stamp on it, or, they might not hate it, but eventually we change things, don't we? So we've got that. Building an extension. A lot of people now extend the homes, and part of that is, they have the kitchen done downstairs, the disrupts upstairs, and, there's a crack on the bathroom wall now. Now I need a new bathroom, or, we want the bedrooms done, or, the living room's been gutted. Let's put a media wall in, whatever it might be. This can trigger things, okay? A new baby, a cash windfall. It might be time to take some money out of the pension. Someone might have died and left them some money. Happens a lot. Or they might have just had like a fuck it moment in the new year or any time throughout the year, as a matter of fact, and just said, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to treat myself and do something. So at stage one, you can't influence this, right? You can't influence any of them, to be honest. And you'll see what I mean by that. You can't make these things happen. You have to nudge them, which we'll show you shortly. So when they become, so they're not problem aware, you don't have an influence on that. It's something that happens in their life, okay? So you're not really in the mix at stage one. They're not aware of anything at the minute. They might have heard of you or not heard of you. It doesn't really matter at this point. The point being is that they're not really at a point where this matters. But when they move into, when one of those things happens, right? So one of those things happens, so they're not problem aware. One of those things suddenly happens, and suddenly they hit stage two. They are now problem aware. Now they're thinking about it, but they're not yet acting, okay? This is the danger zone for you. This is where you've not been in the past, and this is where you must be visible now. People in stage two are hyper vigilant. So now they're aware that they want a new kitchen or a new bathroom or something's bugging them, and they're hyper vigilant. And they could stay in stage two for a year or two or three. Stage two people can be in there for a fucking long time. Now, there might be something stopping them from doing it that's got nothing to do with you. But the point being is that a lot of people are at stage two. Fucking many, many, many people are at stage two, right? But the hypervigilant, the scanning for clues, the seeking confirmation bias. So anything that will support that they need this new thing, they'll be all over it. Yeah. So if you put like a guide out online or something like that, or I don't know, something that can be can trigger the brain to say, oh yeah, I want this thing, but now I've seen that, I really want it. But they're basically ready to lock onto the first trustworthy brand. Yeah. So the first brand or business that they see, that they go, I wanted a new fill the gap, kitchen, bathroom, whatever it might be. And I've just seen this really good company that looks really good, and I'd love them to do it for me. I've seen some of their stuff online and whatnot. So what triggers them at this point to move further down the process? So your van that's nicely branded might drive past. Yeah. The leaflet that you're planning to do might just drop on their doorstep. Seeing you in the shop or locally wearing your branded clothing might go, oh, that jacket, he looks professional. Do you get what I mean? Your A-frames, the A-frames outside the jobs, they might hear someone else mention your business. They might see one of your Facebook posts. They might see one of your Instagram stories. They might go online and search and see one of your online profiles and be like, oh, this company looks good. So suddenly you're in a different world now. So if you're not visible there, you don't exist, do you? So let's just think about it. Let's just, let's bring it back to the academy. If you're not doing the things that I've just mentioned, and all of them are in the 12 steps, if you're not visible at this point, anybody that's at stage two doesn't even know who you are. You're a ghost, and ghosts don't make sales. So, and if you don't exist at this point, someone else is just eating your dinner. Someone's having your dinner right now, and you missed out. You fucked up because you weren't there. Now, you might think, well, I don't know if I'm there or not. And this is where, when so many times when I say to people in the academy, where are your leads coming from? I don't know. They just seem to arrive. Well, this is why they seem to arrive. It's a bullshit thing. They don't seem to arrive. You are getting people in all different stages of the buying process that are aware of your brand. And this is what happens. And this is why obviously visibility is step 7 in the 12 steps. The basics, putting your van sign writing on your A-frame outside your job, your branded clothing, having, all that type of stuff, leaflets, all that. That's why it's in the 12 steps. It's not decoration, it's psychology. But from here, they now enter stage 3. This is where their intent goes through the roof, right? At this stage, customers usually already know, because in stage 2, they've seen the brand that they will make contact with at some point. And then, like I said, it could be a long time. And this is why consistent social media is important, because you don't know who's looking at your brand right now and being put on or being put off. And you might be thinking, well, if I put one post out, I'm fucking only, I'm not going to get like leads from that. No, but you're going to get leads from people that are at stage 2 that see that you've been consistent, see that you're doing decent work, see that you're a trustworthy brand, and you stayed front of mind, you stayed in their head. And when they got to stage 3, you were there. And this is where the magic happens. It's not rocket science, but this is why not doing the basics leaves you on the floor. Now, at this stage, customers, like I've said, already know who they want to use. Their first choice brand is the one that's hitting the psychological notes. If that first brand that they make contact with does everything right, they won't even get a second quote. They won't even get a second quote. The amount of times that customers have said to me, I've only got a quote off you. I only came to you. And some of you will sit there and go, yeah, I've had a customer say that to me, because when you're a proper academy business, doing anything right, this is the feedback you'll get. And if you've ever had that feedback, you're doing it right, because customers aren't looking somewhere else, because you've guided them, not, without them even knowing that they've already decided they want to use you before they've even had a price. And well done for one. If you're sat there going, yeah, I've had customers say that to me and I know I'm doing everything right, brilliant. Okay, but it's about consistency. So stay tuned. Don't tune off. Don't become one of the cocky bastards. Stay with me. So this is where, if you're getting pushed, just a little side note here, while we're in stage 3, is if you're getting pushback on price ever, right, it's only because of this one thing. If you're getting pushback on price ever, and I know we haven't got to the point of quoting yet, but I want to bring this in at this point, is that if you haven't done stage 1 and 2 properly, i.e. you've built no trust, then you're not going to get the jobs, are you? And this is why people push back on price and say it's about price, because if the price is the most important thing the customer can talk to you about, how shit have you been at doing everything else? Price shouldn't even be in the conversation. And that's why, for me, many times over, many times, that's why I know when the customer starts mentioning price, they might drop price in, because obviously sometimes it is in there, but if doesn't mean just because they mention it, it's the main priority. When they make it the main priority, or they become frustrated, then price rises up. Do you get what I'm saying? So let's put another scenario in there. And this is why, when you're doing none of this, right? And what did I say before about, how many jobs have you been to price where the customer has just said, oh no, you're too expensive, or whatever it is? Because I'll tell you what's happened with some of these customers. They decided who they wanted to use. So someone else has done a good job of stage 1 and 2. But when they've got them to stage 3, they've let them down. Something's unfolded for them and it's not quite worked out. Then they've gone, fucking, I'll have to go and get prices from some other people now. And then their head's in a tiz, because they're like fucked off, that they've probably spent all this time building the hopes that they're going to use this particular business. I've done it myself, where I've looked at companies where I've gone, right, I'll use them for that because I've watched them for quite a long time, and then I've inquired with them and they've been shit. And then I've gone, fuck's sake, I felt like I already had it sorted out before I was ready to buy, because I thought these are going to be really good. And then when I contacted them, they were fucking shit. So what that meant for me then was the fantasy fell apart. And this is what will be happening with your customers as well, because now they're getting frustrated that, fuck's sake, I didn't get it sorted. I wanted to get it sorted. Now I just want it done cheap. Now I'm just focusing on fucking price because I'm fuming and I just want to get it done. But again, you can't always help that scenario, but you can kindly pick up the pieces and know sometimes when someone's in that position, if they're making price, if you can tell they like you, but they're making price a thing, maybe that is the case. But most times it's because us ourselves haven't done a good job of 1 and 2. So when we haven't built the trust with them, yeah, when we, like I said before, when you've been knocked back on price so many times, it's not that. It's because you've been really bad at moving them through the earlier cycles, parts of the process before you gave them the price. And now if they come back and go, because think about your past pricing. Was it expensive? No. So if you look at what you were pricing in the past, it's definitely less than what you were charging now. So if you're doing better now on higher prices, but you were hearing in the past that it was about price, that proves my point, because it clearly wasn't about price in the past. If you're fucking charging more now and you're not hearing challenge on price, but you were charging less then and hearing challenge on price, do you see what I mean? Because in the past, you weren't doing it right. If you're doing it right now and price, and everyone in the academy, the successful people say they don't really get challenged on price. Yes, there's the odd one. And it's usually got the word Ren and finance in there somewhere, which isn't a fucking reflection on you. You're just not going to win them ones. You just got to accept that. You can't really count them because that's something you can't compete with right now. So you just take it out of the equation and focus on the ones that you can win. So again, that's the little side lesson on price. When you do these things properly, price drops right down in the priorities. Okay. So back to stage 3. So just to recap, we're now at stage 3. They've been triggered during stage 2 by your van, your leaflet, seeing your A-frame, a Facebook post, Instagram story, or an online profile, something like that. Now they're at stage 3, okay? What will help you win now, do you think, at stage 3? I'll give you a second to have a think about that, because it'd be interesting to think, well, what would, at stage 3, what would the customer be doing and what would help? So obviously, this is where your website comes into it and your blogs and your case studies, because a customer's not going to be looking at your website and your blogs and your case studies unless they are at stage 3. It might be at stage 2 still, but they're probably at stage 3 because they're looking for a solution right now. They're digging deeper. They're going to start looking at your reviews. They're going to have a look at your social media. And if there's nothing on there for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks, that's a bit of a put off. It's a massive put off. They're going to be looking at your online profiles. They're going to be seeing what accreditations you've got. Oh, are you a Wix trusted trader or not? Not that they'll be looking for that, but they might be. But if it's there, it's a lot better that it's there than if it's not there. So again, at stage 3, you're making them like salivate. Oh God, this is the company for me. And this is why you can get people that come like bursting through the door going, I want you to do the job. And if you're sat there thinking, that's never happened to me, well, you need to be listening really hard. And if you're sat there thinking, yeah, I've had that. I've had customers that are just mega fans, weren't asked about price, signed up, loved it, because your business in the academy is maturing and it's starting to work this machine. Yeah. And this is how it works, which again, we're going to explain even more in the next few minutes. So at stage 3, we've got website, blogs, case studies, SEO, reviews, social media, online profiles, and accreditations. And once that they contact you, they are now starting to enter stage 4. They're not quite ready to buy, but they are getting ready to buy. So this is where, having an online booking system on your website is massive, because they go, fucking hell, I'm looking for a solution, but now they're making it easy for me because I don't need to ring them. I don't need to email them. I can book a survey here, boom. So even if they're not quite ready, I think going into this a bit deeper here, I think sometimes that's why the conversion rates, the conversion times can be quite elongated, because I feel that we maybe, because the websites are so good and because people bring when they do things right, I feel like they're getting customers in their funnel sometimes at stage 2 or 3 quite early, because they're not always at the correct stage of wanting to buy. Now, that's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing, because it means that we're really good at making the customer go, do you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to book online. So once they're entering that space, we're making it really easy for them. These websites make it so easy for people to then go, I'm in stage 4, and they didn't even realize they fell in stage 4, which can make them stall a little bit and drag it out a bit, because they're probably they're being sucked in by the machine, you know, and I am aware that the machine can be a little bit more powerful than their desire. So it's about balancing it. You know, this is where, you know, making sure that when you've made contact, they make contact, that you're not too much, you're not over the top. You know, you just take it slow, build that relationship, because they'll need, you know, it's like a date in a relationship. As that progresses, we want to take it slow. So once we've got the online booking, then we've got the professional emails. Then we've got your branded presentation, you know, for your proposal software. You've got your clean and tidy appearance on the survey coming up, video quotes, follow-ups. Do you see what I mean? All these things now start to really cement in the end of the process. I mean, they're going into stage 4. That's just a little bit of what's now important as they're going into it. Now, all of this is built into the 12 steps in your sales process. Again, this is how you're starting to see now that if you get this right, you'll guide them into stage 4. Okay. So now we're at stage 4, right? So let's go into that. So by now the customer should be thinking, I don't know why, but I really like this company, because everything's been psychologically driven to make them think that, right? If you've done things right, you've done everything that we tell you to do, or as many things as possible for where you are right now. Again, we're not expecting perfection, but getting better and better and better at it over the time means that your leads go up, your surveys should go down, to be honest, because you know you shouldn't be doing that many to win. You should have a good conversion rate, good margins, all the rest of it. It all works when you do it all. Now, the reason why the customer's thinking that is because you've been visible. Yeah, think about visibility. What do I say all the time about being visible? You were there at stage 2. You were there at stage 3. Yeah, they've been through all, and you won't realize it, but they're going through a lot of emotions throughout all this, and they're building a thing with your brand that you're not even aware of at this point. You're just going, I don't know. You've got to be aware of this, so they're thinking like this because you've been visible and you've been consistent and you've hit every buying trigger, which I'm going to go through the buying triggers in a moment in an overview. So you've guided them subconsciously through all 4 stages. Yeah, you have, without knowing it. Now you've got this is where you see them as a lead. Yeah, this is where you're going, oh, I've got a lead. But to get to that point, and I've said this to people in my team so many times, just think what it takes, right? What journey has that customer been on to actually make contact with your business? So to take the time out of their busy day to make contact with your business, what must that take? Do you get what I mean? It doesn't just happen like that. And we think that it's like a split-second thing. Even if they will obviously do it in a moment, but that moment has been built up for weeks, months, if not a year, maybe more. Do you get what I mean? So you have no idea. So that's why every lead that comes in, again, this is where follow-ups are important, things like that, because they didn't just land there by accident. They've asked you to do something for them and they wanted you to do something for them. Why has it not happened? This is why follow-ups are so important, because there will be a reason. And most of the time it won't be because it's dead in the water, because that someone's looked after them better than you. You know, they've got a quote of someone else and they followed up better than you. And this is where you'll lose again. So this is where you got to stick with the process. So at this point, they're obviously ready to do business, but not for one reason, for many reasons. But now it's time to actually close the loop and go, right, this is enough kissing. Let's get on with it. Now it's time for obviously things like your final survey design session or your first survey design session, whatever it is. This is where your first meeting, but this is where your meetings, because what you're going to do now, you've got them to this point. Now they're in your sales process and now they're going to just circle around that sales process until they buy or they die, as I always say. So we've got our online booking system, which makes it easy. We're going to send them professional quotes. We're going to have branded brochures and info packs, which are available in the academy. We're going to make sure you've got these things. Make sure you've got samples. You know, don't think at this point. Now I'm hoping it's starting to land with you that when a customer's at survey or design stage, design session stage, you're like, not turning up with fucking samples and branded brochures. Can you see the damage that this is now doing to you and your chances of converting this sale? People buy people, but they also buy professional people. They want you to do a right job and they want you to send the right signals out. Being the Witch Trusted Trader as well. You're turning up with your witch badge on your jacket. You've got it on your website. They know it. You're talking about it on your Loom video. This is massive, and all these things at this point. If you turn up like that on a survey and execute the final piece of this process in that manner, you're going to do really, really well. And then obviously don't forget the brand building assets that will help fuel the machine and help future customers in their buying cycle too. So delivering the project properly, because if you do a good job, people will say good things. What did we say earlier about the customer might have heard your name somewhere? So if you've done a shit job, they're going to hear that you do shit jobs. That's not good. If you get 5-star reviews, post it on your social media. You get case studies, post it on your social media. Then optimize your website and things like that, which if you're Academy Plus, we'll do that for you, which is why I've left it out, because I assume at this point you would have joined and you would let us do that for you instead of wasting your own time doing it and not doing it as good and probably spending more on it in the long run. So that's the rinse and repeat process. Once you've got that in, you're all over it. And this process is literally, it's invisible. Yeah. So what you've got here is you've got an invisible sales funnel that you can't see. You can only see it by doing the stuff that you think is pointless, and you're going, oh, what's the point in doing that? Oh, why is this important? But then you look at the people that are successful in the academy and go, what's he doing that's different to me? What's he doing that I couldn't do? The answer to that is fuck all. All he's doing is just doing it. He's just doing the stuff. And I'll give you a graphic here now, which will explain in more detail what the buying triggers and nudges are at each stage of the process. And this makes it really clear. So look at this graphic now and think to yourself, if I left any of those things out, what impact, how many people would I get to stage 4? You wouldn't get many if you leave too many things out. That's the crux of it. So stage 1, let's go through them again. So we've got leak, damage, comments. I've obviously shortened these down here so it's easy to digest because the main points are above. So we got leak, damage, comments, house move, extension refurb, cash windfall, envy, a sodic moment, a new baby. There will be others, but obviously they're the main ones that will get people from stage 1 into stage 2. And then when you got stage 2 there, you've got a branded van, leaflets, magazines, branded clothing, A-frames, flags outside jobs, referrals, social media, online profiles. This is where people at stage 2 are going to see you. So you've got to be there. Stage 3, now they've seen you once. Now they're looking properly. Now they're having a proper look and they're going, right, I want to dig deeper. I want to really know about this business. Get to your website, look at your blogs, your case studies, your accreditations. If there's fuck all there, what are they going to do? You might get them to stage 2 into stage 3, and then you go, actually, no, I don't like this company. I'm going to go somewhere else. You wouldn't even know that had happened. That's the sad thing, is you don't even realize how many leads you're losing because you're not doing stuff. SEO, reviews, social media, online profiles. I know social media, online profiles are repeated there, but stage 2 and 3 are very similar. Because the same behaviors and same things will trigger. You could almost mush stage 2 and 3 together because it is sort of, and you will see other triangles out there on the internet that have even more stages in them. Don't go and look at them because they're even more complicated and they're not relevant to this industry or the academy. Got to bear in mind that there's product related funnels that, like online selling, retail product, stuff like that. We're talking about a specific area. Stay focused on this. Stage 4, ready to buy, professional survey, samples, branded literature, video quoting, design session, following up, being helpful, being a witch trusted trader. All these things are what push people over the line. And if you look across that graphic and say, what am I doing and what am I not doing on there? Because if you're missing any of them out, think about where your customers are going to fall off. Now, you might think, oh, I'm getting some people to stage 4. The weird thing about this is that if you think that you can just do the things at stage 4 and think, right, when I get a lead, I'll just do those things, it still won't work. Because like I've said earlier, you're still going to drop, you're going to lose to somebody who's done stage 2, 3, and 4. So it's not that you might not get a bit lucky with the odd one, right? But this is where conversion rate is important. It's about making sure that you are bringing people through stage 2, 3, 4. Now, stage 2 and 3 don't need direct communication with the customer. Stage 2 and 3 are basically stuff that you'll do in your 90 minutes when you sat there going, what's the fucking point? This is the fucking point. Yeah, this is what the 90 minutes is for. Because in the 90 minutes, you're going to be doing all the stuff in stage 2 and 3. You're going to be making sure that those things are absolutely fucking bang on. And some of the things in stage 4, perfecting stage 4, maybe practicing stage 4, making sure you've got things organized. You know, spending a 90-minute session organizing your samples is worth doing in a 90-minute session. Making sure you've got your branded literature and you've practiced your looms and stuff like that is stuff that you do in your 90 minutes. So when you're looking at your 90-minute sessions, you're going, right, this is what I need to be focusing on. These are the things that, if I'm doing those things, I am going to move people through an invisible funnel that I can't see. Because at stage 2 and 3, well, late in stage 3 they are, but they're not in your CRM. You don't know right now how many people are looking at your brand that will make contact in the next few weeks. Now, if you do more work on these things, more people will make contact. If you do less work on these, well, less people will make contact. Do you see what I'm saying? This is why the activity that we do every week, you know, the rhythmic acquisition of customers comes from rhythmic activity. So we've got to make sure that the activity in the 90-minute sessions is there. And yeah, I'm hoping this is landing well with you here, because what this ultimately comes to, you'll remember at the beginning of this, we were talking about ad agencies, marketers, whatever. Can you now see why paid ads will fail for 99% of installers? Because when you're only targeting people at stage 4, at the very bottom of the funnel, I know the triangle's top, but you know, in a funnel, stage 4 is the bottom, if you get what I mean, because it's the last stage. It doesn't work. So the reason being is probably because your website isn't ready, your profile isn't built, your trust signals aren't strong, you've got no blogs, you've got no case studies, your brand isn't visible locally, and you'll always struggle to convert paid ad clicks into high value projects. You'll pay for the leads, but you can't convert them, and this is why they fail so much for people early on. They blame lead quality, and you know, so you'll blame the agency if it happens. They'll blame lead quality. Your bank account empties. And I've seen this cycle so many times. Both the marketer and the sole trader are usually clueless about customer psychology, but not anymore. Yeah, there's no reason from after this point where you'll go, actually, do I need paid ads? So what we find is that when people put all these things in, like I said earlier, they don't need paid ads because they've got more than enough leads coming from this. And this is exactly what's happening. You know, people aren't doing all this. Not one person is doing this and has come back to me and gone, I'm doing all that. I'm getting loads of leads, but I want more. I'm going to do paid ads. Now, to be fair, if someone came in and was doing all this, and this would take you to like 5, 6, 7 jobs a month. So probably more. So, you know, if you build your brand doing this strategy, where does paid ads come into it? If you want to really scale up, yeah, but that is really unlikely. You know, we're not going to want to get to like 10 jobs a month unless we're insane. Or we want to really, 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 really go for it. But then you're in a whole different world of risk and overheads and all the rest of it. You know, that's years away if it ever happens. And I wouldn't even advise it, to be honest. I think if you're making enough money in your business and you can, because this now you're looking at this going, actually, think about it. So let's look at the bigger picture. If you systemize this business, turned it into something really good, what's stopping you from some point in the future stepping out of it and going, well, actually, I could get someone else to run that. 3, 4, maybe 5 jobs a month, good business, profitable, happy days. Take your profit and go and put it somewhere else. I wouldn't grow a business like this past 7, 8, 9, 10 jobs a month because it's a fucking nightmare. I just wouldn't. I've been there and done it. It wasn't fun, and I'd never do it again. But what I did do was I moved my profits elsewhere and invested in other things. You know, like setting up KBB Spy services, things like that. You know, do you see what I'm saying? It's like you do other things, but this business is an asset and systemizing it like this, it can stay there for a long time and eventually have you not in it, potentially in a few years. Do you get what I mean? But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. And I've explained to you why paid ads and the adverts that these people put out don't work at any stage of where you're at. Especially if, you know, the people that I said that have done it, they've either thought it was a bypass to the hard work, or they feel like they've done really well. They've got the right now to go and do paid ads, and then fuck it, I'm gonna do it anyway. And that money in your bank account, even if you think you're doing well, can empty very quickly if you're doing paid ads, very quickly. So please, please don't watch this and then ignore me again. Because, and I don't mean that to don't ignore. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm looking out for you here. I'm trying to do you a favor. And this piece of education that you've just been given, watch it again, because this is the fundamental of business. This isn't just about the academy. This isn't just about, this is a business lesson, and you could take this anywhere. You know, this is something that you go, actually, that is how it works. You know, that is how it works. And eventually paid ads comes in if you were ever going to do it after you've done all that. Yeah. And you can see where things go wrong for people quite easily. And this is why you won't need paid ads, because the 12 steps and the Academy Plus locks all the 4 stages naturally. You can see how the early steps give you visibility. The Academy Plus then gives you momentum. The website is your customer magnet, and the CRM sales process is the conversion machine. So let's just go over that again. The early steps, getting yourself visible, implementing the 12 steps, gets you going. Then the Academy Plus gives you momentum. Now, there's nothing wrong with starting them 2 at the same time, but you've got to do them both. Then your website becomes the customer magnet. Yeah, people at stage 3 get to your website and go, this is good. Boom, from booking online, booking a survey or ringing up, whatever it might be. And once they've done that, the sales process takes over and converts them. Okay. And as long as you're doing the survey properly, the quote properly, and all that type of stuff. But it sounds like a big lot of stuff, this. But when you actually look at all this, you go, a lot of these things are one-off tasks. They're not like having a branded van, for instance, isn't something you do every month. It's something you do once or every time you get a new van. A-frames and flags, and you know, it's just simple, innit? The social media, we've got fucking templates in the academy. It does it all for your online profiles. We've give you templates on them. Case studies, blogs, join Academy Plus, SEO, join Academy Plus, reviews, fucking piece of piss. Social media again, you know, there's templates in the academy, loads of them. You don't even need to, half of this you don't even need to touch. You know, you need to do light work on it. It's light touch stuff, this. And this is what I mean. Like, I think people overthink. They think this thing won't have an impact. Believe me, it will have an impact. So this is why, obviously, like I said before, this is why Academy Plus members, going back to that, will sell far more than regular members. And I don't like to say there's a difference between the 2 members, but in terms of sales, there is. You know, and eventually they stop spending money on getting leads. They move from labor only work into supply and fit full time. They build a real brand. The margins grow and their time becomes more predictable. And most importantly, like I've said many times now, not a single academy member right now at this moment in time is running paid ads. Not a single one. And yet they're growing faster than ever. And this is something, obviously, that as an academy team, we're really, really proud of. So the final thought on this one then is that hopefully you now understand the psychology behind what we've engineered into the academy. Like I've said many times before, there's a lot of psychology in the academy that I've not, and I haven't really gone into the granular detail tonight. This is still quite high level. You know, there are many things that I could go into the psychology of. Loads of things that, you know, land with customers in ways that you wouldn't believe. But this is sort of a bit of a deeper dive in it. And now you'll start to see the real reason why it works and why nothing else has worked before. That's the main thing, isn't it? But you're no longer spraying and praying. You're following a buying journey the customer is already on. You just weren't even aware they were on it. And, you know, you're becoming visible at the right time, in the right way, with the right message. So please remember, follow the 12 steps, deploy the sales process, Join Academy Plus when you're ready, and paid ads will never come into your mind ever again.